Hello, welcome once again to Stuff and Things, where I like to talk about stuff and occasionally even things. I'm your good friend Bradley, and today we're going to do a very unfair comparison between my two main guitars. My Fender Custom Shop 1960 Telecaster and my 2020 Gibson Original Les Paul Special. The comparison is unfair because I'm really comparing apples to oranges. This is actually less than half the price of the Fender Custom Shop Tele that I have, but I thought it would be interesting just to see how close a standard Gibson, just their standard line, comes to the Fender Custom Shop in quality. There are a lot of, rumors, conventional wisdom that you'll see online about how the Gibson quality may compare to Fender, and I just thought it would be fun. I've had both of these guitars for about a year now, and I've been using them both as my two main guitars, probably using the Fender Custom Shop a little bit more than the Gibson because it is my guitar. I ordered it myself, I spec'd it out myself, I waited over 10 months for it, so it's a very important guitar for me. But let's get into some of this. We're not gonna get too crazy, this is more just kind of a conversation. I have many notes that I have taken, things that I have noticed, ways that we can compare the two guitars. So first of all, like I said, we have the Fender Custom Shop 1960 Fender Telecaster, and this is one that I spec'd out myself. I saved up years to get this thing. It was my huge dream, and I wanted it. It is a reissue of a 1960 Fender Telecaster. It has a slab rosewood fingerboard. It has 6105 frets, so they're sort of the narrow, tall frets, so that's not vintage correct, but that's one of the only things that I did to make it a little more modern. It has a bone nut. It has classic style tuners. It has hand-wound 1963 Fender Custom Shop pickups. It's got CTS pots, really nice switchcraft switches, and the input jack. All the electronics are super high quality. It does have the modern Fender Telecaster wiring, so it doesn't have the dark circuit in the neck pickup. It's more modern. It has a Sherwood Green Metallic, beautiful finish. I got this in the Closet Classic, so it isn't pre-worn, but it's just slightly aged looking. You probably won't even be able to tell, but there's a bit of checking on the finish here. But other than that, no other wear spots other than the few little dings and dents that I put in this thing. Comes with the vintage correct 7¼ inch fretboard radius, which is one thing that people always have some controversy about, thinking you can't bend on these radius fretboards or on a fretboard with this radius. That's not true. You can bend on it. Just beautiful guitar. Alder body, two-piece, maple neck. Beautiful, gorgeous. Basically exactly the specs of a 1960 Fender Telecaster, except with more modern frets, a little bit larger, and then the modern wiring. So gorgeous guitar. And in this corner, we have the 2020 Gibson Original Les Paul Special. This is just kind of their standard line. It's not a custom shop. I think when this came out, or when I purchased it, it was around $1,600, and I was able to basically sell my Fender American Professional Telecaster and get this for basically the same money. I think now these are close to $1,800. The custom shop, when I got it, was around $41, and now they're even more expensive. They're just going up and up and up if you try to spec one out yourself. This one has a 50s style neck, so pretty chunky neck. My Fender Custom Shop had a large C, so it's pretty chunky as well. Has a rosewood fingerboard, bound neck, solid mahogany body, mahogany neck as well. Vintage cherry finish. This is a nitrocellulose lacquer as well. 2-volume, 2-tone, 2 Gibson P90 pickups. They're not custom shop, nothing special, just the standard Gibson P90s. It comes with a 12-inch radius, 12-inch fingerboard. Does not have a bone nut. It's a Graphtec, I believe. Nice tuners, everything kind of standard. Just your basic Gibson Original Les Paul Special. So, the first category I wanted to get into was fit and finish. Both of these guitars were pretty flawless from the factory. Now, the Fender Custom Shop, you would expect that. You pay a lot of money for that. It goes through the custom shop. It is made by a much smaller crew, and there was absolutely nothing wrong with my Fender when I got it. Just absolutely beautiful. The first thing I noticed when I got this guitar was just how amazing the neck felt. I don't even know if I can put it into words or describe to you why, but it just feels amazing. I love this neck. The paint was flawless, fit and finish flawless. The setup was perfect from the factory as well. Played amazingly well. I did change out, it had the vintage style, I guess people call them threaded saddles from the early 60s, even though they're not really threaded. And I changed them out for ones that look the same, but they're able to be intonated a little better. But no problem setting that up. The truss rod is easy to adjust. It is down here, like in the vintage guitars. So all you have to do is yank the pick guard, you get a tool in there, you can adjust the truss rod. So this just felt amazing. It looked amazing. There was not a single thing wrong with this guitar, and you would hope not for spending that kind of money. The Gibson, again, was great. I didn't see a single issue with this except, and I don't even know if this will pick up on camera, but the cover for the electronics cavity is slightly off center. And it's something that you wouldn't even really notice. It's just there's a slight bit of, I guess, the bevel showing where this is attached to the wood, but nothing at all that you would ever notice or even care about. Finish was flawless, fretwork was great, binding was great, no issues whatsoever other than that electronics cavity cover being slightly off center. But again, I don't care about that at all. This was set up for 10s. And the original tailpiece on this was just the standard tailpiece that these came with in the 50s. And I switched that out for a Music City Savvy bridge, so it has a little bit better intonation. Once I did that, this was plecked from the factory, so it was flawless. It played perfectly. Once I switched out that bridge and tried to set it up myself, I've had a few issues with string buzz and stuff, and I've adjusted the truss rod and done other things, and I just can't get it to be perfect. But I'm gonna have to take it into a luthier who actually knows better what they're doing to see. But that's my own fault. From the factory, it was absolutely perfect, had no issues whatsoever. So I guess I'd have to give the edge slightly to the Telecaster there because there was absolutely nothing wrong with it whatsoever. But the Gibson as well was really, really nice. Pretty good fit and finish from the factory. I mentioned the setup a little bit. The setup for the Fender Telecaster was great when I got it from the factory. It was set up with 10s, I think, originally, and then I switched to 9s and had to adjust the truss rod, and I had to adjust some things once I put those other saddles on. But again, no issues whatsoever. But from the factory, absolutely perfect. And the Gibson setup from the factory, absolutely perfect. They pleck almost all of their American-made guitars, I think, so you should assume that unless it's been sitting around in a guitar store for a long time, that you should have a pretty good setup from the factory. So pretty much a tie for the Fender and the Gibson as far as factory setup. Now here's one that you hear a lot about. How apparently, you know, the Telecaster is rock solid as far as tuning stability. Stays in tune, you could set it down for 2 weeks, come back, it'll still be amazingly in tune. You can bend all over the neck, stays rock solid in tune. And for the most part, that's been true. It doesn't go out of tune while I'm playing it. If I haven't played it for a day or two, I may have to just do slight little tweaks. I live in kind of a humid, variable place where the weather changes quite a bit. And so even though I try to keep my office where I have my guitars at a fairly constant humidity and temperature, I don't quite succeed at that, so there could be some flexing and things going on. But for the most part, the Fender Telecaster is as rock solid as far as tuning stability as you would imagine. The thing that surprised me is that the Gibson might be even better. Everyone says that Gibsons, especially Les Pauls, do not stay in tune. You've got that break angle of the strings over the nut, the fact that the strings have to come at such an angle over the nut to begin with, and then the break angle of the neck over the nut. People say that the strings bind up, all sorts of issues. They go out of tune all the time. This is amazing as far as staying in tune. I can literally leave this for a week, and when I come back and pick it up, it'll be perfect. It's kind of astounding. I don't know if I've ever had a guitar that stays in tune as well as this guitar does. Now, when I change strings, I do put lubrication in the nut slots. I do like lubricate over the tailpiece and everything. That might have something to do with it, but I have been super impressed with the tuning stability on this Gibson. Okay, so what about weight? This Fender Custom Shop 1960 is, I wrote it down, 7 pounds and 6 ounces. So a really decent weight for a Telecaster. I would say that's on the lighter side. I wanted something that was less than 7.5 pounds, and I did sort for lightweight wood when I ordered this, and this is what they came out with. 7 pounds, 6 ounces, perfect. Not bad at all. You do have to pay a little bit more for the sort for lightweight wood, and I don't know what I would have gotten if I hadn't done that. I just wanted to keep it around 7.5 pounds. This, my Gibson original Les Paul Special, is 7 pounds, 8 ounces. So very, very close to the Fender Custom Shop. Now, obviously, these are my individual guitars. The Custom Shop, I specified that I wanted a lighter weight model. This one I picked out because it was a little bit lighter and I like the wood grain as well. I was able to see pictures before I bought it. So I've seen some on Sweetwater and other places that are over 8 pounds, some that are 8.5 pounds. So it all just depends on your particular guitar, but this one is a fantastic weight at 7 pounds, 8 ounces. Definitely less than most standard Les Pauls that have that carved maple top. So weight on both of these, perfect. Okay, so what about the pickups? On my Fender Custom Shop, I have 1963 hand-wound Custom Shop pickups. So they're not available to purchase normally. They have all sorts of different years for pickups that you can pick in if you're making a custom Telecaster, and I picked the 63 because I wanted as close as I could get to what a 60 would sound like. And they're supposedly very faithful recreations, and they were hand-wound. So let's see how they sound. We're just gonna do some really basic sounds here. I have my Vox AC15, a little bit of reverb, nothing else. This is the bridge pickup, and we have tone all the way up. I'm recording it just directly into Adobe Audition without really doing anything to the signal. I might tweak the EQ a little bit when I edit this, but we'll see. So this is as unadulterated as I can get. Bridge pickup, tone all the way up, and we'll just do some open chords and you can see how it sounds. Nice bit of sustain there. Okay, there's the middle position. And neck position. I don't know if I played the same thing that time, but there you go. Just basic open chords, not doing anything, no overdrive or anything. The amp is set to be pretty clean. Now let's try out the Gibson. So once again, this is gonna be the bridge pickup position. I've got volume all the way up, tone all the way up, and these are the P90s in the Gibson. And that was still going. So you may notice that the output is a lot hotter on these pickups. I haven't changed the volume level on the amp at all. These are both, both guitars I was playing with the volume all the way up, the tone all the way up, and these pickups put out a lot more output. They're actually kind of breaking up. And that's just the normal setting on this guitar. If I turn the volume down a little bit, it cleans up quite nicely when you turn the volume down, but I'm gonna keep the volume up. I want all the settings to be the same as I do this. So that was the bridge pickup. Here is the bridge, or the middle position, bridge and neck. We'll get to that sustain later. And here is the neck. Sounds like an organ, and it just does not quit. I do have to say, one thing that I look at when I am picking out a guitar is how much the guitar rings when you play it acoustically. This guitar is the loudest and the longest sustaining guitar I've ever owned. That's just coming through my lapel mic. It's still going. I timed this out. I think I got like over 20 seconds when I just strummed once and timed how long the note would sustain. Really impressive. The Fender is great too, but this is insane. It is so ringy. You get all sorts of crazy overtones and weird frequencies going on because everything just sort of like swells on itself. It's really impressive. But now let's get to some overdriven sounds here. We're gonna go with the Fender first. And this is just a little bit of overdrive from my OCD pedal. And again, we'll just play something very basic so you can hear. And we'll do it in all positions. Okay, so overdrive sound, bridge position, tone all the way, volume all the way on the Fender Custom Shop. Middle position. And neck position. Okay, and now the Gibson original Les Paul Special, bridge position, volume and tone all the way up with a little bit of overdrive. Middle position. And the neck. Still going. You could put that down, have a bite, come back, and it'll still be ringing. So, that should give you a little bit of an idea of how these pickups compare. I would say the Telecaster is really articulate. It has that bite that you expect, especially out of a Tele bridge pickup, but it has a little bit lower output. It's a little bit more mellow and more nuanced maybe than I was expecting. I really, really love the pickups in that Telecaster. The middle position is fantastic. The neck has a lot of just juicy, mellow goodness coming from it. I really enjoy it. The pickups in the Gibson, these P90s, are monsters, and I really like them. I can turn the volume down a little bit, get a little bit lower output, and they do get articulate, they mellow out a little bit. But when you have the volume and the tone on full and you just want to thrash something, these are fantastic. They scream. I have to change all the settings or I just have to mess with the volume. But if I have a certain level of overdrive that I like from one of my pedals, I have to shift that around because the output of these pickups is just so much higher than my Tele. I don't have a multimeter or anything to actually check what the output is from each, but you can just tell this will overdrive an amp that my Telecaster was not overdriving just because the output is so much more. I love them. They do different things. I might use them for different purposes, but as a really great 1-2 combo, the 63 hand-wound Custom Shop Tele pickups and then the P90 pickups in this guitar are really fantastic. Both amazing. So there you go. The Fender Custom Shop 1960 Tele, custom made for me in Sherwood Green Metallic with the beautiful slab rosewood fingerboard. I love this guitar. I think it's amazing, and it should be for what I paid and for how long I waited. And the Gibson original Les Paul Special, a fantastic guitar in its own right, and I'm actually really impressed with the quality of this guitar. I absolutely love it. I'm never going to sell this thing. This really has a place in my guitar. I don't have a collection. I have 3 guitars, but I have 3 electric guitars, but it is going to stay for a long time. I can't imagine getting rid of this. I love the P90s. I love how this feels. I love how it plays. Great weight, great looks. Nothing wrong with it whatsoever. I have to slightly give the edge to my Telecaster because this is my guitar. This is the guitar that I saved for and dreamed about for years and years and years, and I absolutely love it. It's home for me. It feels the best to me. I can play this the best. But a lot of that just has to do with familiarity. I play it the most. But for the price of this Gibson, it comes really close to the quality of this Fender Custom Shop. It's not quite there. This thing is just a cut above, and it's a beautiful, beautiful instrument. But you can't go wrong with that Gibson original. It's really fantastic. And I'm quite pleased with both of these guitars. So thank you so much for watching this little comparison. It's not really a versus because they're apples to oranges, but I enjoyed it and I hope you did as well. Until next time, until we meet again, I've been your good friend Bradley. You've been the audience. This has been Stuff and Things. I'll see you later.